I am back again with another episode of the Polish the Mirror podcast. I'm your host, Amy Thurman. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so thankful for you watching and listening. If this is the first time you're catching one of my episodes, go to hashtag Polish the Mirror podcast. They stream live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, all the places. And then I take the audio and I upload it to all of the podcasting platforms. So you can find it pretty much anywhere you look, you can find the Polish the Mirror podcast. The reason I created this podcast is a reflection of my life. If you know anything about me, you know that I have lived the past 10 years with a broken neck and recently launched a book about talking about my journey from being completely incapacitated to now living an empowered life. It's called Finding My Hero Within. And so this is a platform that reflects that. This is a platform where people can come to share, just like I have found hope in the midst of my adversity. People can come on here and share the hope that they've gained in the midst of their adversity too. But oftentimes I will have special guests that I have the privilege of interviewing, which I cannot pass this up. And today is one of those special episodes that I just cannot wait for you to listen and tune into, because if you are in need of inspiration, motivation, encouragement, this is for you. Today's the day. So let me introduce you to my beautiful friend, Deb Drummond. Thank you so much for being here, Deb.
Oh my gosh, Amy, I so recognize that, we only all do so many shows or so many opportunities to share on air with someone. And it is truly, when people say it's an honor, it really is an honor. It helps you stay doing what it is that you do. So I know the caliber of show, book that you have. And honestly, it was a very nice surprise in my inbox to have an invitation to be here today.
Oh, you're so sweet. I tell you what, Deb and I have, let's see, we met because we did one collaborative book together. And then you put together an entirely different, huge undertaking that involved lots of summits, a huge book, a whole big thing. If you want to talk about that, I would love for you to share anything that you want to share about that.
Absolutely. On the side, it's being called the 262 Project. It is the relationship between a book of 262 women that are full of gumption, entrepreneurs, ultrapreneurs, we say creatives in media, rocking legacy and telling all. And it's a beautiful full cover spread that lets us into the world of someone a little personally, what it is they're doing in the world, profit, nonprofit, how are they showing up? And then it gives us a beautiful lifestyle picture, not one of those pictures that we sit with our hands on our lap and get done, but something that shows and reflects, and you talk about polishing the mirror, reflects some of the inside. And it gives us a relationship. So in this book is women making history, they've made history, but mostly I think they all could, say very easily that they're full of bravery. And then to highlight and bring together the global piece, we did 22 summits in 15 months, free world access for women and those that support women. And we had women like yourself sharing their story, inspiring, motivating, educating, telling us about nonprofits, telling us how to do it, why to do it, if to do it. And that was incredible. And I think, as you know, in 15 months, there had to have been a need, because Amy, we had 191 million media impressions in 15 months with the book announcement, with the summits, to the point where, well, it's not over. And this has turned into a movement. And we're going to be continuing on the book tour for 5 years, and also the summits 4 times a year in everybody's time zone. So obviously there was a need out there. The idea was downloaded, for lack of a better articulation. And we said yes. And oh my goodness, sometimes, but here we are. So yes, it is it's about solidarity and International Women's Day and valuing ourselves and valuing our sisters.
Oh my gosh, it was so amazing. Every one of the summits that I was able to be a part of, there was like just this synchronicity to it. Like, I don't know if you planned that beforehand, but everything they talked about on each summit just seemed to go together. And the one that I spoke on, I even said, I feel like I'm going to say the same thing other people have said, because it was just like, fell right in line. It was just such a magical thing. I really felt the impact of that. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah. And, I didn't really, we picked themes But it was mostly like, so what time works for you? I mean, you know, you were a speaker, so it was like, what day works for you? What time works for you? And then there was just this really powerful theme that went through each speaker. And the beautiful thing I think about that was that it really showed the collaboration. I just came off a radio show and she says, can you explain to me why empowerment and sisterhood are two different things, or do you see them as the same? And I'm like, oh, no, they're very different.
Yeah.
And what people experience behind the curtain of this project is this huge collaboration, because we know we may have similar messages, but different delivery and different ways to get there. And people are attracted to us for different reasons. So yeah, it was pretty incredible, actually.
It's so true. You know, I was, just side note, chatting with someone that I connected with on Facebook, and I was thinking, how did I get connected to you? Like we're having this deep conversation that resonated with both of us very deeply. And I said, we're both in Deb's book. Like that's how we were connected, is we were both on the summit. I saw her on the summit, so I sent her a friend request, and then we were both in the book. And we figured out that on our pages in the book, we put the same words at the bottom. We're the only two, right? We put "you're powerful" at the bottom, and we were both just like, whoa, that's just so cool. But that's the power of what you're doing. You know, it's just bringing people together that way. So it's so beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is really, and it is really powerful, right? And the beautiful thing for me, I think about this project, not to negate anything that I've on or any summit. I mean, I'll be on a summit tomorrow, is the community that organically we knew would build, but not like this. And so, you know, when you go to have an exposure model, like kind of like what we're doing right now, how we met, and why we will continue. I think when you have a project of that caliber, when I mean caliber, I mean impact, right? Because everyone, the caliber of the impact is resonating. And so the words 262 will never not be, you know, just getting bigger, right? People are like, what does it mean? I was like, you know, and it has a resonance effect, so that the relationships and the impact, it goes deep beneath the skin. It goes past the 2-day summit, the 3-day summit idea, right? Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes. And they're even going to be streamed onto a television station.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yes.
my understanding.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we didn't want to compete with ourselves, right? We wanted women to show up live and see live online, right? I mean, there's just something really beautiful about that. So we waited to all the summits for those summits to be done, because of course, you know, 262.20 starts in August. And so these summits are now in the process of getting edited and cleaned up, and each summit will turn into an episode. And then that will go over to a streaming station. And then that streaming station will stream on Amazon, Apple, Roku, and Hulu. And women will have the opportunity to go watch 22 episodes. And I believe it's $8.88 for a month. So can you imagine, for less than $10 going and having a month of accessibility to all that information? And which means it is accessible, right? It is completely accessible, which is a big part of this. So we're super excited about that.
Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. When I connected with you, I just knew there was something here that I needed to be a part of. When you asked me to be a part of it, I was like, I don't know what it is, but I know I need to say yes. And so we worked. We it just worked. Oh my gosh. Okay. So we need to get into the meat of this. I really want you to share whatever you feel is on your heart to share, because I know that, like you said, you have downloads that you just feel like things that come to you that you need to be shared, that you need to share in certain situations. And so I feel like you probably have something to share with us today. And I would love to just give you the floor and have you share whatever it is you feel that's on your heart today, Deb.
Yeah, well, you know, when we were talking pre-show about really why people come and hang out with you here on your show, and you talk about overcoming and adversity and the power of story, which obviously clearly we've done, you know, 262 times in this book. And in this book, there's even some surprises and treats for the women that were part of it, where we included women of history, women that have been passed over 100 years ago, that people don't even know the incredible things that this person did. It's just historically they weren't really allowed to be shooting from the rooftops like we are now. And I talk about, you know, everyone, no matter where they are or what their experience or where they're at with their business or what have you. We've all gone through things. And one of the things that we went through when we were talking about that is, I said, you know, we all have a story. And it was like, what do we want to talk about today? And for me, there was this topic of money. So I don't know who's out there that needs to hear this. We probably all need to remind ourselves, no matter how successful someone looks or is, right? That predominantly there probably is some kind of money story, whatever that looks like. And when we were talking about some of the things that I've had to overcome, and we've all had to overcome probably more than one thing. But one of the things that I've had to work through, because people ask me a lot right now, like, how did you put a project together of this grandeur? And what did it take? And I'm like, oh, well, we eat like rice and peas sometimes. You know what I mean? Like this was also a financial journey. I was raised in a house where literally, if you didn't hear it every day, you heard it every day, that money doesn't grow on trees. I was raised in a house that didn't have a lot of, like, we just didn't have. My mom was a single mom, and it was the time and era that if, the person that left the house, which, was my father left the house, if they didn't give any money, well, too bad, Sally. Like it just, there wasn't a lot of organizations or things set up to make sure that child support was paid for. So here my mom was with 2 kids and no support. And, my aunt was living in the house and my grandmother as well. And so it was this, want to talk about collaboration, but there was a lot of not haves. We had wieners and beans with no wieners many, many times, just that kind of experience. And so when I'm raised in an environment where it's about survival, right? And then that can't help but impede some of the ways that you think. And I think how we're raised, with money has been a big part of my journey of success in business, in relationship, in money. This project, when you talk about getting on TV, that's not a small situation. That's not a small bill. And even for myself, who has been in business for 30 years, there's been years of abundance, and there's been years of, oh, we could use some more abundance, and how I've been able to maneuver that on the inside. So I think that when I was working with a woman last night who I'm like, this whole experience of the book was honestly a neuronal rewiring. Like I can't explain it. I talked about it on the May 11th. When we decided what it was that I was going to share about, I talked about the stretch of significance. To make this significant impact, I did not sit around this table. This was a download. I just happened to say yes to it. It started when I was 31 and my daughter's 31, so we don't need to go there. But, when I started this project, like full, 3 years ago, I didn't know that the demands of it from a financial standpoint, it demands from my time, which affected, my financial ability. Because I'm, for the most part, this was even though the speakers and authors did participate financially, to be able to make a global impact and an accessibility took a team bigger than one would think. It took time beyond what people would think. And even as we are going to be hand gifting this book in September to celebrities around the pool for the Emmys, right? When I was negotiating that deal, straight up, I'm negotiating that deal. It's a financial, you have to be vetted for sure, but then you get to pay. So, when I'm negotiating that fiscal bill, literally, they were sending me that invoice as we were negotiating, and I had 48 hours to pay it, and it wasn't there. I had 48 hours to make sure that got handled and that we were seen, because it was an opportunity that came after the book was produced. And I sure wasn't going to go back to the authors and go, hey, guess what? Does everyone want to, maybe that could have been an option, but I didn't. And so as you have a stretch of significance, as you want to build stronger and higher, please, anyone, remember, there is a lot of the times, and I'm not going to be a financial advisor, but a lot of the success, a lot of what you're experiencing, a lot of what you're seeing has been not a hope and a prayer, but it's been, I'm going to take a risk. It's going to be worth it. It's going to be, and taking those leaps where that was not how I was raised. We were not raised to take financial leaps. We were raised to make sure that we took our, Orange Crush bottle and got that 10 cents back from the recycling fee. And that, we really learned the appreciation of $1, and that I've kept. But the progression of have, not have, not have. What did divorce do to my life? What did changing careers or changing structure, or when this project overtook what I normally do for taking care of our family fiscally, how did I manage and work that out? It has been definitely a journey.
Oh my gosh, it sounds like it. I know, we don't really think about how our childhood affects the rest of our lives, especially
Mm,
financially. I was in the
mhm,
same boat. Like my mother made my clothes. Like we didn't
mhm,
go buy clothes. My mom bought the material and measured me and made my clothes. And then when I started buying clothes, we went to garage sales to buy clothes. And that's like you, that's how I grew up. And so that's what I brought into adult life with me. And it
mhm.
has been a struggle to learn how to switch that mindset. Do you have any tips for people who are really there now looking to make that switch?
Yeah, like I think we all have our own form of reliance. So for me, my reliance is having faith. I remember that when I first had my massage business, I used to own a private health studio. So for people like, what do you mean? I don't have that anymore. But for 20, I worked on 30,000 clients. But how I started was in the extra bedroom of my home. And my daughter's father was not even a fan of massage. He didn't like it. When I was in massage school, he's like, don't practice on me. So this was not his thing. He was not by nature an intuitive, a spiritual person.
Mm.
He was very practical. And so I remember that, the Visa bill came in and we didn't have enough money to pay the Visa bill. And so I wrote a check. So yeah, now you know where I'm talking. I wrote a check. I
Yeah.
put it in the envelope and I mailed it. And he goes, what are you doing? And I said, we'll have it before. We'll have it. We'll have it. Now, if we didn't, I would have dealt with the consequences of that. They would have probably called me and said, your check bounced. And then that was a conversation. But I just had strong faith in my ability to produce. So yeah, I put my back against the wall, but I'll tell you, there's nothing like having your back against the wall to bypass some of your limiting beliefs because you've put your back against the wall. So sometimes I really truly believe there's a poem that talks about providence. It's only when you say yes that all unforeseen forces come to play. You can't sometimes go, oh, I've got an opportunity for the Emmys. Okay, let me go to my business coach and formulate a 6-month plan. I had 48 hours. Yay or nay, you're in or out, princess. Let's
Wow.
go. And so
Wow.
sometimes you have to make those gumption decisions. But here's how I see a lot of people when they get presented with an opportunity. There's two people that sit on their shoulder. One is, I am so excited. I feel it in my body. I feel joyful. I feel I need to move in this decision. The other one is, oh, you got the oven to clean. You got the like that person that voice that gives you all the reasons not to in logical it's logic but it's true. They're like, oh, but you've
Mhm.
got this to pay and you've got that to pay and you've got this project going on. You can't possibly, put that information down, go through that information. It is probably true because how that other goblin talks is in your language. How it talks is in your realism. And I'm not telling people to push themselves past the point. I'm not telling them to go and do things they're not comfortable with. I'm not telling them to go into debt on things that they don't think they can afford. But if you have proven yourself to be right before, if you have taken risks and proven yourself to be right, or all of a sudden you say yes as you're walking across a bridge to this, it's time, and that means I'm supposed to start a book that turns into this. Sometimes it, for the most part, will fall in your favor. For the most part, will fall in your favor. But it is a stretch to significance. It is a stretch to the next level. It is a small percentage of people that reward from their decisions because successful people are willing to do it, not successful people aren't willing to do. And so sometimes you may have to gamble that you're moving in that direction. But what's the alternative? Stay where you are? So if someone is in that stretch and they don't feel that they can, here's what I notice a lot. I work a lot, obviously, with women. A lot of times we go to, how can I make it happen? So let's say that you're offering me an opportunity to be in your book, Amy, and it's $1,000. And I'm like, I don't have $1,000. So what a lot of people do, and I don't say this against our gender, I say we have, by culturally, we have been the ones that have to take care of all sorts of things financially. So we look at where we can save in other areas of our life. We're like, well, if I cut this, or I don't do this, or I push that appointment off, or I did it, we look to save to create the money instead of how can I go create it. You don't have to dip backwards, you need to step upwards. And so by nature, it's like, if I'm going to spend $1,000 there, I'm up gaming. I'm just going to know, what does that mean? I need to go make 4 or 5 more clients, or go get 10 clients. Well, sister, get out there and go do it. Go forward, not backward. Don't look how you can save or cut or negotiate, or can I do a payment plan, or don't go there automatically. Go, what would it take for me to be able to make that happen? If I'm in that book, okay, my intention to equal that ROI is I need to get 10 clients at $100. So the question isn't how can I go save money somewhere? It's what can I do to use what I'm going to do with her to create 10 clients? So Amy, do you think I'll be able to create 10 clients by being in your book? Are you going to show me how to create 10 clients by being in your book? Have you had success by being in a book before? And has it brought new business to you? Because that's the question. Not how can I afford it, but how can I make this worth it?
Yes. Oh my gosh. So, so good. It's like we have to think out of the box. We're so trained to think this small, to make ourselves small, to put ourselves in these boxes, but we have to come out of these boxes. We have to think bigger and more grand, because our purposes are much bigger than we're thinking right now. I can tell you that firsthand. I'm feeling that in my life right now, that my purpose is much bigger than I am. And it's not something that we're trained to do. So I think it's something we have to practice. We have to teach ourselves how to do it.
Well, here's, I'll go one step further, because I'm a true believer in coaches and people like, how have you gotten to where I've gotten to? And, some of my accolades. So for me, I just finished writing a program, and I didn't know we we're going to talk about this today, but it's how to run your direct sales business like $1 million CEO. And it's 67 slides. I poured my heart, and you know how much I love the direct sales industry. To me, it is the most equal opportunity employer. And I know you rock it, because you look fantastic in that blue dress, by the way. So I really believe in that industry. But here's, again, why I said how to run your direct sales business like $1 million CEO. Because if you're $1 million CEO, when you have an opportunity that comes to you, you don't look to disservice. Like, you don't go there. You go to what I just finished telling you. How can I create it? What is it I need to do to offset that? And you go forward thinking, right? And so how would a CEO deal with an opportunity? You run you examine it different. You make decisions different. But in all honesty, it's like, I think we can curb how we think that, right? It's easy for you and it's easy for me to go, hey, go think like $1 million CEO. But if you've not hung out with $1 million CEOs, how the frig are you going to learn how to have that mindset? So what's the question? So when you ask me to be in that, I mean, look at, I've had, I've sat in circles like that. So when someone gives me an invitation like that, my direct question would be, how can I make it work? What's the ROI? What can I expect to do from that? Great, let's move that direction. But it's a trained question. It's something that you have to practice. So just maybe if to ask yourself, how would a 6-figure income earner deal with that situation? How would a 6-income monthly earner deal with that situation? How would someone who's making $50,000 a year, if you're making 10, like, where is it that you want to be? And ask yourself, how would they answer that opportunity? How would they reply to that situation? Would they emotionally reply, or would they logically reply? Like, so how does $1 million CEO act, and how do they, right? That kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's like we have to ask better questions. We ask questions that are so low level of how am I going to make this happen? And we need to be asking more higher level questions. That's so, so good. Oh my gosh, I can use that in my life. I do want to mention too that I feel like it's important, and I never have asked you this.
Mhm.
Here I am live asking you this question. That it's so important with the people we surround ourselves with that we have to find like-minded people that are supporting us in the direction that we're wanting to go.
Mhm.
And I know that's something that you have to be doing, but I've never really talked to you about that. How do you do that?
Yeah, well, you're talking to someone who was raised in a home where there wasn't, and I know my cousin's clothes, and I know going garage sailing, and I know all of that kind of stuff, and came from there. Who uh, I would say I am very grateful for where I am right now, and I know what it's like to have. I know what it's like to not have, and I know what it's like to have those things fluctuate as we've all gone through changes that are out of our control, or in experiences like what we just all went through, or recessionary, or culture, or family, or divorces, or all those kind of things that I talked about earlier. So for me, to answer your question in terms of how I've been able to navigate that, is that accurate? Is what you're asking me, like how I've been able to? Okay.
Right, right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I ironically started reading books about business before I was in business. I didn't know I was going to be an entrepreneur. I came from the music industry, right? And then I made a decision to leave the music industry. I kind of had a spiritual download, and I went into the abyss of not knowingness. And a flyer in a muffin shop changed my life. I mean, really seriously, that's how it started.
Mm.
So that's my entrepreneurial entry. But I was really honest with myself, and when I didn't know something, I got really honest, and I got really hungry, and the drive was strong to have a different life. I
Mhm.
really wanted a different life for myself. I really wanted a different life for my kids. I really wanted all those things. I wanted to know what boundaries felt like. I wanted to be able to share with my kids to have boundaries. I wanted to feel worthy. I wanted to feel valuable. I wanted to feel loved. I wanted to feel successful. I wanted to not have debt. I wanted to, and so as I wanted more for myself, more for my family, I sought out people, saw them, read about them, read the books, and then waited for them to show up. And they did show up. And then whether I could, like, talk about it earlier, I've always had a coach. Here's an interesting thing. I just had a conversation with a woman who was one of my coaches early on. And I looked because I found her receipt. Now, honestly, my son must have been 2 or 3 years old, maybe 4 years old, and he's now turning 20. And I paid her $275, I think, for a 2 hour session. And we're talking how long ago that was. Now, I can tell you
Wow.
right now, looking back to, I remember when he was born, I was not in big overflow. So I know that was a stretch for me. So I made that time worth it. You know what I mean? Like, I took what I
Mhm.
can. One point, I really wanted support for my son who was looking like he was going into entrepreneurship. And there was something really special that I had read about this man's story. And so I contacted him. He was at that time, I think, $2,500 an hour. I'll tell you, I did not have $2,500 an hour. I negotiated it to $750 an hour. And I took all my, dimes, nickels, and whatever. And I paid him to come and coach my son. And for me, I was like, okay, that 1 hour that turned into like an hour and a half or 2 hours that he gave to my son was worth it. And that's all I could afford. And so, he stays in touch now. How's things going and whatever. But I never discounted the value of someone knowing more than me. I listened, I paid
Mm.
attention, I watched, and I think because I put myself up against something that I couldn't maybe necessarily afford, but I warranted people's skills that were above mine as equal to anything else that my business, like my marketing, my media, it was right there up with everything, because I guess I just appreciate time. And I didn't feel like I had a lot of time to waste. I just didn't. I always felt like I was under the gun a little bit, and we needed that money for this, or
Yeah.
we needed this for that. And so I put myself to task, and then I did what they said. And I just kept, and then I remember the day that I was walking home. I can tell you exactly. My daughter's 31 now, and it was, I think, when she was about 17 to 18 years old. And I was walking home. I went to a movie by myself, and I was walking home to the condo I live in now. And I was just walking down the street. And I picked up the phone and I called a friend of mine who had a bit of a funky early start in his childhood, like I did. And I called him and I said, I think I just felt pride for the first time ever, like self-proud, proud of myself, not proud of my kids, proud of my this, proud of my accomplishments. I said, I think I made it. And I said it really quietly. He goes, I think you did too. I'm like, this is pretty cool. And so I can't even tell you how hard I worked to feel like, and I was like, we live in a beautiful home. My home is safe. My kids are happy. They've not been traumatized. You know what I mean? Like all the things that I really wanted, I was like, I think I did it. He goes, I think so too. Yeah. So I don't know why I'm telling that story today, but
somebody need to hear it. It's so good because you were able to see the effects of not only what you put in, like your time and effort, but the sacrifice that you made to get that money together to pay that man, and then the effects of that that it had were so worth it. Oh my gosh, I love it so much. I
was gonna say, which is why I always have kept a portion of my schedule open for people that are attracted to be coached. Like, a lot of people like, oh, your life is so abundant, you probably don't have time. But I've kept that as not only to keep me humble, to remind myself, and also, here's the truth. No matter what level you go to, people are like, oh my gosh, you just created this global movement. Everybody still needs support. Everyone still needs coaching. We're all going to the next level within the confines of our own cobwebs of our mind. Don't kid yourself, right? You go to a new stage, guess what? Sometimes your goblins show up, they just have a prettier pair of shoes on. That's all. So there's always that place that I leave to stay humble, to be remembered, to remember, and to pass it on. That's what I think we're all about,
Yeah. Oh, so it's so beautiful. And I remember the very first conversation I had with you, and I know you need to go, so I'll wrap this up.
It's okay. I'm good.
I remember the very first conversation I had with you, and we're talking about me speaking and me being in your book. And then before we got off the call, you said, how can I help you? How can I serve you? What do you need from me? And I was just like, nobody had ever asked me that question before. Someone of your, I look up to you, and you asked me how you could serve me. And that really caught me off guard. And I just love that about you, that you're so heart-centered. I'm a heart-centered person, because that's what I said. That was my answer to you, is connect me with other heart-centered people. And you are one of those. And I just love that about you. So I'm so thankful that our paths crossed as they have.
Me too. Absolutely. I just, came off a radio show, and she was asking me that thing about empowerment and the difference between empowerment and sisterhood. And I talked about that. I talked about sisterhood is a very different thing. It's the collaboration, and it's this feeling of expansion when you're with somebody. Even if you do the exact same thing, there's a sisterhood is a collaboration and expansion.
It's not a competition.
It doesn't know like how many years I've been in business, how many years you've been, like, that's not what it talks about. That's not what it talks about. It's an expansion. And I think if we did that more, right? If we did that more, asking, how can we serve? And I know it's interesting, because when people say that to me too, because you're a giver and I'm a giver, we're givers. And so when people say, how can I serve you? You're like, which is why when we do our monthly, and it's like all the women have to show up. Hi, I'm from here. This is my name. This is my country. This is my company. And my one ask for the next month. It's tough. It's tough when people have been used to giving, to ask to be given to. And that alone is neuronally changing. Like, oh, I'm going to ask for this one thing, because, women tend to go, I'm going to ask for this, but no, just ask.
Yeah. It really made me feel like, it helped me see myself from a different perspective. Like, oh, I'm worth serving, and I don't know that I hadn't seen myself from that perspective before, but when you asked me that, it made me really flip that switch in my brain to go, I'm worth serving. What do I need? I don't know, But it really helped me change my perspective on myself just by that simple question that you asked me. So I want to be sure and share that with you because it was just so beautiful.
Well,
So
thank you. I
beautiful.
appreciate that. And it helps remind me to continue to ask that question and be ready for when it gets asked for me. Because like I said, those of us that tend to be on the outpour, sometimes it can be difficult to receive. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and it has taught me to ask that question too when I meet with people. I now ask that question too because it had such an impact on my life. I want to spread
Mhm.
that. So the waves they're going. It's a ripple
Yeah.
effect. Look at you creating not only in your movement but in just talking on the phone with people. It's just
Mhm.
and you never know how simple things can have an impact on people. And that's a perfect example of that. And so just I want to. I feel like I need to share this story. Someone, Angela, actually, Angel Tucci. Is that how you say her
Mhm.
name?
Yeah. Angel
Shared this
Tusi.
story. Tucci, yeah, she shared this story with me. I met with her on a one-on-one, and she shared this story with me, and it just made me bawl. But I feel like I need to share it. That she said that this is a reflection of me and of you. That this person died and went to heaven, and when they got to heaven, God gave them a box with their name on it. And this person opened the box, and inside the box were these strips of paper with names written on them. And so the person began to pull out the names, these strips of paper, and read the names. I don't know this person. I don't know this person. I don't know this person. It's full of strips of paper with names on it that this person did not know. And so this person said to God, I think you've given me the wrong box because I don't know any of these people. And God said to her, that is your box. Those are the people that you have impacted that you know nothing about. That in your life you have done things, simple things, that have impacted people in a way that you had no clue. You don't even know these people, but you have impacted them in that way. And I feel like that's what this is about. That's what's happening here. It's a
Mhm.
ripple effect that we're impacting people on a global scale that we don't know. I mean, we don't know how huge it is really. We can see the numbers, but it's so much bigger than that. It really is. And it's just about simply caring, simply being good humans and caring about celebrating women.
Yeah, thank you for the reminder. That's a beautiful story, and I think, like you said, it is very, very true, because we know it to be true, because there's people that have done things that we've watched or observed, and it's changed our lives. It's helped us, and so yeah, I appreciate that reminder.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh my goodness. I could talk to you forever, Deb. I
Yeah, yeah,
really
yeah.
could.
Well, I'm sure this won't be the last time that we're talking to your audience. Lots of stuff,
Exactly.
lots of cool stuff going on.
Oh my word. Yes, yes, so much. Well, again, thank you so much for being here. I do want to share your website
Okay.
so that people can get in touch with you. And if you wouldn't mind to tell them a little bit about what you do, I have been a part of your top performance class. And I will say, I was scribbling notes so fast, I couldn't write fast enough because you have such knowledge and wisdom of what your 30 years of doing this. So yeah,
Yeah.
tell them a little bit about what you do and how to reach you.
Absolutely. So you've got the website, debdrummond.com, and there's a contact page so you can reach me. It's easy. I'm Deb at debdrummond.com. And so the services that we have, not only please go and get the book and support this incredible project. And you can do that on Amazon, whatever country that you're in. And I'm sure that Amy's going to put the information for you to do that. But how I serve is I serve a lot of people through this media company. And I know that media can be confusing for people. I talk about media stacking, or, my name has 100, it has I think I had 1 million media impressions, and the project this, and people are like, what are you doing and how do you do it? I literally do a course. It's an hour and a half to 3 hours, depending how many people show up. And it is a $1,500 media course on how to know your media score. And right now, we're gifting it to everyone to help you understand media for a $50 donation to the 262 project. I mean,
Mm.
honestly, it's really beautiful.
Wow.
And then I do a top performance class as well, because I am a top performance trainer and teacher. And just to back that, I have been in Success Magazine 48 times for my ability in acquisition and growth, to be number one in companies in those arenas. And so I teach people how to be in a top performance functioning mindset for your business and or your nonprofit or your personal life, however you want to apply it. Most people are self-funding. And we do a top performance class, and literally, again, it's another donation. It's $8 to come to a 90-minute top performance class, just so that you can have betterment in your business. Those are things we're doing. And then if people really want to, in 2 categories, people call me, Deb creates wealthy healers, meaning that people that are out there, entrepreneurs, creatives, what have you, a lot of people contact me that are having those quiet conversations inside, like they're hitting their own glass ceiling, they're upset, they're frustrated because they're not anywhere further with their business. It's disappointing. They're going to networking groups and feeling like they're the only one that's not 5 figures, 6 figures, 7 figures, or whatever. They're living a silent, quiet, upset life about their business. I work a lot with those people to get them moving along, and or people that are really successful that don't understand media. And we actually do a media business plan, and media and marketing are 2 different things. And we do a media plan. I talk about all of the mediums of marketing. And so I can do some top performance training. And then, of course, like I talked earlier, with my love for creating economic platform in multiple countries, is to really use that direct sales platform. And for people that really want to run their business and have that stage walking experience, or to be able to have that side gig really take care of their family, then I have, what is it? I think it's a 90-minute video that's free that they can watch on how to run your direct sales business like $1 million CEO. And then if they want to take a step further and do some more in-depth things with me, there's an opportunity to do that. So basically, you'll see what I do is I do top performance and help people be more successful in an efficient manner through just different mediums: private, media, direct sales, entrepreneurship.
It's so valuable, because you have been there, done that, figured out how to do a lot of the things that can save people so much time and money. And you can just show them, teach them how to do it. And so it's just so valuable what you do. So
thank you. I really appreciate that. And then if people want to speak like you did, this project is moving on, and this movement is going, whether I was in it or not, this movement's moving with or without me. So for those that like to share the stage, we have some opportunities for you coming August.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I have had such an amazing experience with this. So if you have more opportunities coming in August, I will just plug that for a second, that my experience with you and this project has been amazing. Like I already said, I've connected with people who I feel really resonate, our messages resonate, and I'm meeting people from all over the world. And it's just, like I said, touching lives in a way that I never would have been able to before. And that's what I'm all about, helping others. And so it's really been a really good avenue for me to be able to do that. So again, thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time to share with us and to share your brilliance with us, and just your beautiful spirit. Like I said, we'll definitely have you back, because I could talk to you for days about all the things. So
all the things. Thank you so much, honey. I really appreciate, and thank you to your audience for listening.
Of course. Yes. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you have found this helpful or think it will be helpful for others, please share it. If you're listening on the audio, please give us a 5-star review, as this will help us reach more people. And again, go to #PolishTheMirror to listen to the other episodes. So I will be back actually tomorrow with another episode of a story, sharing a story of hope gained in the midst of adversity. So I hope you'll tune in for that. All right. Until tomorrow. Thank you all. Bye.
Bye.